So in this video, I'm going to put up two of potentially the most forgiving drivers of 2024. We've got the TaylorMade Qi10 Max hitting that 10k moment of inertia number, and then I've also got the Ping G430 Max 10k, again hitting that magical number. So these two drivers, forgiveness is all the talking point. I'm going to put them head to head in this video. I'm going to see which one is the most forgiving and the straightest hitting. So the big talking point for the drivers of 2024 is this 10,000 number and this moment of inertia, and basically the forgiveness is the theme for 2024. I've got two of the big boys up against each other in this video. Two very different looking golf clubs, but trying to provide the same amount of forgiveness, but maximising that for straighter drives. So we're going to start off with the Qi10 from TaylorMade, the Max version. So we're going to hit 3 balls with this, then 3 with the Ping, and keep alternating it. The Max head is a pretty big footprint. It's pretty huge down there. So obviously getting that big lump of weight as far back as they can is going to increase that forgiveness level on that MOI. So huge footprint down by the golf ball, very confident, inspiring. And there's a nice straight one to kick things off with a Qi10 Max. So both of these heads I've got are 9 degrees. I've got them both set at 9 degrees, and I've got them both fitted with exactly the same shaft, Fujikura Ventus Blue Velocore 6 in an X. Both of them playing at 45¼ inches length, and both have got the Golf Pride MCC mid-size grip. So we've got an exact level playing field between these two drivers. Felt a little bit of a better strike on that particular one. Nice little peeler of a draw, should get a little bit of a lower spin with that pattern. Okay, some decent numbers there to kick things off. So as I said in my review video with the Qi10, I like the look, the new look against maybe the Stealth, a little bit more of a cleaner look on the top, just that gloss top section. We've got a blue face, which I like, it doesn't stand out as much. We've got that laser white line at the top, which just nicely separates the crown to the face. Helps a little bit with that alignment. Ooh, right, that wasn't the greatest of connections. A little bit in that heel side, just getting that little bit of cut on it. And this is maybe where the 10K is trying to help us as much as we can on those miss hits. Okay, I mean, that's still missing the fairway there for me on that slight miss hit. And you see that spin goes up through that strike. So switching now into the Ping. So G430 Max 10K. This is an addition to the current G430 range. So it's not replacing any driver. This is an addition to it. So G430 will carry on all the way through 2024. Again, large footprint down by that ball. A little bit bigger than the original Max that we saw last year, and obviously going to see this year as well. Now obviously it's a Ping drive. We've got turbulators happening. We've got that carbon on the top. We've got a little split, a little bit like we see in the LST version of the Ping driver, so very noticeable that it is a Ping driver. So same loft, 9 degree, same shaft. Felt solid. You know, and as we know with Ping drive, it's a distinguished sound, isn't it? It's different there, a little bit louder, a little bit more tinnier sound to that against the TaylorMade. And again, we've got this big lump of weight at the back of the driver, which is fixed now. It's not adjustable like we see in the other G430 Max heads, but to be honest, that sits very nice and square. The TaylorMade sits a little bit more toed in, which doesn't suit my eye as much, but this does sit extremely square, which is good. So a nice sort of similar high ball flight there that we saw with the TaylorMade. Yeah, and so just see a little bit of a different number. This is when I sort of did my review of the Ping drive. I was quite impressed with this because it controlled the spin. TaylorMade looked to be a little bit more spinny, but obviously we'll look at those as we hit more multiple shots. All right, that's a little bit off the bottom of the club. It's nice flight on that, considering. Be interesting to see what that spin does with that strike. Should go up a little bit, I'm guessing. Yeah, a little bit, but not a lot. So keeps that flight going forward a little bit now. We have got this spin consistency, is what Ping call it on this drive, which we saw in the G430 fairway woods, where the bottom of the club face is bent backwards a little bit. So a little bit less loft, which obviously will launch it low, but it keeps a little bit of that spin off it. So maybe that was just helping me on that particular strike. Now back into the TaylorMade. Now when we look at the bottom of the golf club here, it does give us some like draw bias for me, because we've got that weight that's very much in that heel, right near the hosel of the golf club. Obviously that's going to pull weight in there. This lump of weight at the back it looks to be a little bit more on that heel side. And then we've got what looks to be like material taken out of the toe with that little groove from the crown as it lips over. And again, that's probably going to get replaced into the heel of the golf club. So there's definitely some draw characteristics to this driver. And then when I sit that down, it does sit very toed in, very close. Now obviously I could go to a 10.5 head, knock the loft down, which would open the face to probably get it a little bit more of a square setting. So if a closed face isn't something that you want to see, then obviously that's another option that you could do through a fitting. Oh, that's a good strike. That's a good strike. And that's a good flight. I mean, it's forward. I think the sound of the TaylorMade for me is much, much better than the Ping. It's that carbon sound. It's a little bit more muted. It feels a little bit softer off the club face, not quite as hard and maybe as tinny on the sound that we see with the Ping. And even though that does sit closed in, I know I can sort of adjust that again, going that 10.5 head lofting down, but the head is just obviously a lot cleaner. You know, we've just got that black gloss finish, just a little TaylorMade logo in. We don't really see the carbon coming through, so very clean look, which I like. It's a nice shape. Yes, it's a big head down by that golf ball. Okay, a little bit higher on the club face. I should pull some spin off there. Flight looked absolutely identical from that strike. Yeah, losing a little bit of ball speed, but you see that spin just comes off a little bit, so it does all right, those strikes. Not bad strike. So starting up that left-hand side, it feels like I'm going to hit that shot a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not done bad at all. It's held its line quite nicely there, because that was a little bit heely. Spin hasn't crept up massively there, but it looks to be a little bit on the higher side in comparison to the Ping. Oh, let's pull that one a little bit. And also I'm going to have a little look at how many drives I hit this fairway with. A little bit of a narrower fairway this, but we're going to give it a count up at the end, so do stay tuned to the end to see which one hits more fairways. So we've still got that adjustability in the neck sleeve with Ping, as we see with all of them, so we can move that loft up and down, just change his face angle a little bit, similar like what happens with the TaylorMade, as well as a little bit of lie angle. We've got some flat lie settings, which is quite unique, where TaylorMade doesn't have a flat, it has an upright, but no flat settings. Slightly on the right, a little bit off that toe side, but again that spins really quite nicely, so it keeps that club moving forward. That's a good strike. I felt superb. Yeah, just creeping up to that 296 mark there. Okay, so last three with TaylorMade, then final three with the Ping, and then we'll look at some numbers. Right, so final three with the Ping. Okay, so there's the final three hit with the Ping. Some very nice tee shots here. Got one over that 300 mark. So just before we look at numbers, so obviously we've got to talk about the price, because there is a difference with the price point here. So the TaylorMade is going to come in at £499. and the Ping is going to come in at £569, which is one of the most expensive drivers, if not the most expensive driver from the mainstream brands for 2024. Obviously that might just make a bit of a difference when it comes to that purchasing decision from you as a consumer. Look at the dispersions, the important one really, isn't it? The dispersion rings from all the talk about this MOI, this 10K number. So the yellow is the Ping, the white is the TaylorMade. So we can see a little bit more distance consistency with that, with the Ping, which again we'll look at the launch spin and everything like that in a minute. Looking at sort of missed fairways. So with the white one there being the TaylorMade, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll count the ones on the fringe there as hitting the fairway for this argument. So we've got 5 that have missed. So then we look at the Ping, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and also 5. So we've missed the same amount of fairways with both of these drivers. A little bit more club head speed on average there with the Qi10 than the Ping, but a bit more ball speed with the Ping. Launch a tiny bit higher, but then the spin's a little bit lower. TaylorMade spun a little bit higher, so you're averaging at 2 down. And again, I did see a slightly higher spin number in my review video, so a tough one to try and sort of pull that spin number down for me unless I start dropping more and more loft, but then I don't want this launch angle to drop even more. So I'd have to change my delivery a little bit there to try and get that spin number down a bit more. So for me, 2 good drivers and 2 very different drivers really in terms of the look and the sound. You know, I'm definitely a fan of the look of the TaylorMade, the sound of the TaylorMade against the Ping. The Ping, however, you know, sits very, very square and does feel with a lot of confidence. And the flight on that, I do prefer the flight and that spin control with the Ping against the TaylorMade. TaylorMade. So it's a tough one there. You could probably have to go on performance there. And if that was a performance-wise, I would go with the Ping all day long. Okay, appreciate you watching the video as always, and hopefully I'll catch you all very soon.